Before we walk you through pencil spaces and Sierra TMS, we want to start with what it delivers. Independent research from the UNC of Charlotte confirmed that students using the platform for intervention achieved 2 times benchmark performance outcomes, while the schools reduced their cost per student served by 37%. So that's the outcome that this platform was built to produce. Everything that you're about to see is how it gets there. The edtech market is full of tools built for the business world and then retrofitted for classrooms. Pencil Spaces, however, took a different approach entirely. They built their high impact tutoring solutions from the ground up for educators and for students, with pedagogy driving every product decision. So, what that looks like in practice is what we're going to show you here today. Let's start where it matters most with the student. Pencil Spaces did not build an AI layer on top of an existing product. They built their AI capabilities around how students actually learn, with features designed to reinforce critical thinking and intentional engagement rather than just passive consumption. Emma, can you show us the AI tutor first?
Absolutely. What you're seeing here is the AI tutor in a live session. Students can engage with any subject, and here I'll show you a literature example with Shakespeare.
How can I help thee today?
Oh, hello, Shakespeare. Do you know which passage this is from?
Ah, a passage from my own creation doth appear before mine eyes. 'Tis from the tragedy of Macbeth, act the first, scene the second, where the king and his nobles do hear reports of the battle's progress.
Right, indeed. Yeah, how about this line? Talk to me about this line, please.
Ah, the lines, till he unseamed him from the nave to the chops, and fixed his head upon our battlements. These words vividly describe Macbeth's brutal victory.
Yeah.
It means that Macbeth
Goodness, that is quite graphic for me, so actually I'll skip that.
Notice what the AI is doing here. It's not giving students the answer, it is asking questions, offering scaffolding, and meeting students where they are in their understanding. That is intentional design. This tool reinforces the habits teachers are trying to build with their students.
That scaffolding approach carries through to lesson design as well. Can you pull up the lesson generator?
Sure. With the lesson generator, teachers can generate a complete pedagogically structured lesson in seconds. They specify the subjects, the learning objective, and the grade level in this window, and the platform builds a lesson aligned to those parameters. Teachers stay in control of their content. The AI handles the heavy lifting on the structure and the differentiation.
One thing that sets pencil spaces apart is the actual experience of being in a session, the co browsing, the integrations, and the app library. Could you give us a feel for that?
Yes, exactly. So this is actually where the platform really shows its depth. On the screen here, Stephanie and I, with access to the same digital environment. In this case, it is an app, which is a blending board used for early stage literacy. Stephanie, do you want to go ahead and spell rat for me?
Sure.
So Stephanie is able to interact with this app where she is, and then I, as a tutor, can also interact with that same surface as well. So in this case, we've just learned how to spell rat, and if I add an E at the end, that is now rate. In addition to supporting this single application here, Pencil Spaces has a number of built-in tools from allowing you to import all your files from your own sort of local library to running quizzes like Kahoots or Nearpods, and then bringing in subject-specific applications such as mathematical graphing calculators or simulation software to really help you teach the subject that you're looking to teach online. And the most important fact is that everything is plugged directly into the session. There is no toggling between apps, and there's no lost time as you try to set up these different experiences for your online session.
Teachers right now are on the front lines of truly one of education's most consequential shifts. They're being tasked with helping students develop a safe, responsible, and productive relationship with AI. Pencil Spaces built tools that give tutors the scaffolding to lead that process confidently. So let's look at how the platform supports tutors before, during, and after a session. Imran, please can you walk us through the tutor training tools?
Sure. Tutor training typically has two components. First, the AI coach works with tutors before and during their sessions, helping them prepare for specific student needs, anticipate challenges, and sharpen their approach. Then, after the session, the post-session coach actually reviews what happened. It surfaces patterns, flags moments that are worth reviewing, and gives tutors specific actionable feedback that they can apply the next time they tutor. This is not a one-size-fits-all professional development. It is personalized coaching at scale, tied directly to each tutor's actual sessions. And what's more is, as an organization, you're able to also tie the development given to the rubrics and standards of your organization internally as well.
Let's look at the autograder next.
Yeah, sure. So the autograder covers both sides of the workflow. Tutors can use it to create assignment materials and then grade student submissions consistently, quickly, and with detailed feedback that would take us humans significantly longer to produce. And this can be done not only for one-to-one sessions, but also group sessions as well.
Now show us what happens during a session when a student starts to disengage and get distracted.
Yes, so the platform actually monitors session engagement in real time. And then when a student's attention shifts, whether they navigate away or go inactive or show behavioral signals that the platform recognizes, the tutor receives a real-time alert. So as you can see here, I've just received an alert that Stephanie may be distracted. And so I can re-engage Stephanie and be like, hey, Stephanie, do you want to come back to the main tab? When Stephanie comes in, I can bring her back into the class and just make sure that I can re-engage her as soon as possible. And this is really important because acting immediately at the point of disengagement means that you don't have 10 minutes of valuable teaching time that is lost because the student is not listening.
For administrators evaluating any platform that handles student data, we know that compliance is non-negotiable. Can you touch on Pencil Space's compliance standards?
Yes, so Pencil Spaces is built to meet and exceed security and privacy standards that schools require. No exceptions and no workarounds. We are WCAG 2.1 compliant, SOC 2 compliant, and meet FAIRPRO and COPPA requirements. That means districts can move forward with us with confidence without putting their legal or data obligations at risk.
One thing that often gets overlooked in implementation is what happens when something goes wrong at the wrong time. Can you speak to how Pencil Spaces supports its users?
So yes, this is something that we at Pencil Spaces take very seriously. We have two options here. Number one is we actually have dedicated support and internal troubleshooting in cases where something is going wrong, for example, with your audio and video. So in Stephanie's case, what we can see here is there is a panel on the right-hand side telling me that Stephanie has not granted camera permissions on her device, which is why her camera is not showing. And we have help guides available to help us solve that. In cases where Stephanie's still running into difficulties or I might not be sure what's happening, we actually have 24/7 live support as well. So any teacher can go ahead and reach out to our support, and we will have a real person on the other side of the line answer in less than a minute. Hey, I need some help. That person is available there 24/7 with a response time in less than a minute. And this level of availability is really rare, and it makes a real difference for schools as they look to adopt these new tools over time.
So, everything that we've shown you so far is only meaningful if it works reliably, at scale, and in the real conditions that schools operate in. This final section is about the infrastructure that makes that possible and the ways that Pencil Spaces is thinking about the future of the space. Connectivity is one of the most common failure points for EdTech in underserved districts. How does Pencil Spaces handle low bandwidth environments?
Yes, so the innovation here is that Pencil Spaces is built to deliver a high-end experience, even on the lowest internet connectivity. And this is not just a workaround, it's actually been a foundational design decision in how we've built this product. Schools should not need enterprise corporate-grade infrastructure to access corporate-grade tools. Pencil Spaces makes the bet that powerful technology should reach every student and not just those in really well-resourced environments. To that point, we are working in hundreds of schools around the country on devices ranging from 5-year-old Chromebooks to the latest iPads. We work in situations where you have 2 or 3 students in a class receiving one-to-one tutoring, all the way to having 20 or 30 students in a class all receiving one-to-one tutoring. Every step of the way, we have materials and support available for IT administrators within schools, but also to school teachers to help make sure that these classes run as effectively as possible, because we recognize that dialing in a teacher or a tutor into a class is a stressful experience. And so we have the material and the support on our end to make sure that that process is as easy as possible for schools.
So the pricing structure is one of the more genuinely innovative pieces of the puzzle as well. Can you walk us through how that works?
So rather than charging per tutor, which is often a standard model and actually creates a ceiling on how many students you can serve, Pencil Spaces actually charges per minute of actual usage. So schools only pay for what they use. So that shifts the economics significantly for districts managing really tight budgets. And it is part of why the UNC Charlotte research showed a 37% reduction in costs per student served. The pricing model here was designed to solve a real problem, not just to sell seats.
Finally, and this one deserves to stand on its own, the MCP server. Can you show us what this means? First of all, what is an MCP server and why is it such a game changer?
Yeah, so Pencil Spaces is the first platform in the high impact tutoring space to deploy an MCP server. And what that means is that the AI operating inside Pencil Spaces can connect directly to external tools and data sources in real time, securely, with educator control over what is accessed. This is the architecture that makes advanced AI agents actually possible. Other platforms are talking about this. Pencil Spaces is actually demonstrating it. With the MCP server, admins, whether they are a tutoring platform provider or the school districts or school site leaders themselves, can go ahead and make queries in natural language to understand how a student is doing or which students are struggling. And Pencil Spaces will not only pull in the data from real tutoring sessions and aggregate all of that information up to identify the 1 or 2 students where our analysis has showed them struggling the most over their past 10 sessions. But what we can also do is connect that to the district's data sources as well, whether that be their DIBEL scores for a particular student, right? And as a result, with the MCP server, you can, in a matter of minutes, have almost a data scientist in a box where you can get really deep analytics around your cohorts and around various tutoring programs that you're running that incorporates not only the district level data that you have about that student's outcomes, but also the day-to-day engagement that each individual student is experiencing in their sessions on Pencil Spaces. With the Pencil Spaces MCP server, you can use tools like Claude and OpenAI to go ahead and query data from your Pencil Spaces institution. And what's more, tools like Claude will be able to not only take the data that exists from inside Pencil Spaces, but also combine it with any other data sources that you're connecting to. So for example, if you have your own spreadsheets with teacher salaries or teacher payouts or pay rates, you would be able to, in one, generate a CSV of payments to all your teachers based on not only the data that we store in Pencil Spaces and that we track on our side, but also the data that you have in your own spreadsheets. Here is an example. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and be like, how many spaces do I have in my Pencil Spaces institution? And what this will do is this will look at my account on the Pencil Spaces side. This will go ahead and actually list those spaces out and give me an answer. So it says I have 45,000 spaces in my Pencil Spaces institution. So you can also ask other questions. For example, how many calls was I on last week where I appear in a recording? Here, it's actually checking Pencil Spaces. It's looking at all the recordings from the previous week and then checking if I actually popped up in any of them. Great, so it sounds like I wasn't in any recordings.
Thank you so much, Imran. What we've seen today is not a retrofitted product. It's not a business tool that was adapted for classrooms. Every feature that we saw, from the AI tutor scaffolding to the post-session coaching and the per minute pricing, was designed for this context by people thinking about how students actually learn and how schools actually operate. While other platforms ask teachers to adapt their technology, Pencil Spaces adapts to teachers. The result is tools that earn sustained trust from educators and administrators, and the outcomes that prove it. 2 times performance benchmarks and 37% cost reduction. This is what it looks like to be innovative and to be built for this moment in education. Thank you for your time.